The room was silent except for the rhythmic drip of water from a leaky tap. A stale odor of damp clothes, forgotten meals, and failure lingered in the air. On the mattress, bare, stained, and sagging in the middle, sat a man who looked nothing like the one who once graduated with honors, full of hope and promise. His name was Daniel, 36 years old, unshaven for weeks. He hadn't left his apartment in 4 days. His fridge was empty, except for a carton of expired milk and a few takeout containers with mold blooming like fuzzy white flowers. The bills were piled on the table, unopened. The rent was 3 weeks overdue. His phone was permanently on silent mode. Not that anyone called anymore. His family had stopped reaching out after years of broken promises. He had no job, no partner, no plan, and worst of all, no reason. Daniel didn't know how it had unraveled so fast, though in truth, it hadn't. It was years in the making. A slow descent made of missed opportunities, self-doubt, bad luck, and worse habits. The days all looked the same. Time had stopped meaning anything, until that morning. He woke up to a ray of sunlight cutting through the blinds, falling across his face. It was annoying, intrusive. He groaned, turning away from it. But something about the warmth made him pause. It reminded him, faintly, of a summer morning from childhood, of running barefoot through the grass before breakfast, of feeling alive. On impulse, he muttered to himself, "Just 10 minutes, that's it." He sat up slowly, not to go get a job or fix his life, just to make his bed. It was the most minor of things, but for a man who hadn't cared about anything in weeks, it was monumental. He pulled the sheets up, straightened the pillow, and tucked in the corners. It wasn't perfect, but it was made. It looked done, controlled, like something mattered. The act took less than 10 minutes, but it gave him a strange, unfamiliar sense of dignity. "I'll just do 10 minutes of something each day," he told himself. "If I can do 10 minutes, I'm not gone yet." The next day, it was 10 minutes of stretching. The day after, he opened a window and let fresh air in. Then 10 minutes of reading. Then journaling. 10 became 15. 15 became 30. Within 3 weeks, Daniel had created a morning routine without even trying to. He still didn't have a job and he still felt the weight of depression, but something had shifted. He was showing up for himself. It wasn't always easy. Some days he still wanted to vanish into his bedsheets. Some nights he battled tears he couldn't explain. But the habit, the 10-minute rule, as he called it, kept him grounded. It gave him a path when his mind gave him nothing but fog. By the second month, he was walking outside. At first just to the corner and back, then around the block. One morning, on one of those walks, he passed a community board and saw a flyer. Library volunteers needed. Something inside him stirred. He hadn't held a job in nearly 3 years. But he told himself, 10 minutes, that's all. He walked in. They gave him a shift stacking books. No pay, no expectations. But the simple act of being useful, of doing something with his hands, made him feel like a human again. It wasn't long before one of the library staff, a middle-aged woman named Cheryl, struck up a conversation. "You're always early," she said with a smile. "That's rare these days." Daniel blinked. "Yeah, I just figured, if I can be 10 minutes early, maybe I'll be 10 minutes better." She laughed, not realizing he meant it literally. Over the next few months, their talks became more frequent. Cheryl introduced him to some reading programs for adults. Daniel began assisting in one. He found that he was good at explaining things, patient, encouraging. By month 6, he'd shaved the beard, cut his hair, and was wearing clean clothes again. His posture was straighter, his voice clearer. The darkness wasn't completely gone, but he was no longer lost inside it. He applied for a part-time role as an assistant librarian. When they called to say he got it, he cried. Not because of the money, it was modest, but because someone trusted him again. One habit, 10 minutes a day. That's how it started. 2 years later, Daniel stood behind a podium at a mental health awareness event. His speech was simple but powerful. "I didn't change my life overnight. I changed it 10 minutes at a time. I didn't set out to win. I just set out to move. And movement became momentum. Momentum became healing. Healing became the purpose. After the applause, a young man approached him. He looked just like Daniel once did, tired, defeated, unsure. "Do you really think one habit can change everything?" the young man asked. Daniel smiled and handed him a small card. On it, scribbled in black ink, were just 4 words. Just start with 10 minutes. Moral: massive transformation doesn't come from sudden breakthroughs. It comes from small, consistent acts of self-respect, one habit, one moment, one decision at a time.